Hey guys, I want to do a video today on the federal flight control buckshot. It's, unfortunately I don't have any targets to show you. I don't have any awesome ballistic tests to show you. But you know what? When you're done with this video, Google it. Watch the videos. You will see. I'm not just making this stuff up today. This is very well documented how awesome this ammo is. I never knew about it. Didn't care. Didn't have a clue. You know why? Because every time you see some ammo and it's got some new fancy technology, you just ignore it because every ammo has some claim to fame, so you don't pay any attention to it. It just flies under the radar. So I've always been a big fan of the number 4 buck. Big fan. I've done videos on it in the past. And the military grade, the Winchester military grade. Been big fans of both. Why? I always liked them because they spread out. They just spread everywhere. And I kind of thought, well, if you're in a home defense situation, I'd rather have a big 9 holes in the guy, as you know, because you have more of a chance of hitting a vital organ compared to, if you have a really tight pattern. Plus, the more it spreads out, the less you have to aim, yada, yada, yada. The typical kind of assumption you're going to make with buckshot. Well, this federal has changed my entire philosophy on home defense. It's no longer this, squeeze and pray that you hit the guy, but you don't have to. This stuff is really neat. Now, when you get out and you watch some videos on this, you'll see this stuff is extraordinarily accurate. Even at, 10 yards, 15 yards, you're really only going to make one big ragged hole with this buckshot. And there's videos of people taking this out to 10, 20, 30 yards, and still the group sizing is, will easily fit in your hand. And there's people out there, who've done videos at 50 yards, and really, at 50 yards, this is still, it's spread out a little bit by then, but it's quite the man killer. Comparison-wise, at 10 yards, this military-grade buck, you're barely getting on a dinner plate, and at 20 yards, you're lucky you're even hitting the target. This number 4 buck at 10 yards, yeah, you're lucky to be hitting the target with half of them at 10 yards, and at 20 yards, this stuff's everywhere. You pattern this stuff out, and it does. It's really not much good past 10 yards because your pattern gets to be bigger than your target, and you're gonna let pellets loose. They're gonna fly, and every pellet that goes downrange that doesn't hit a target is a potential catastrophe for your family, your neighbors, some guy in a car driving down the street, and you don't want that. So this flight control stuff, super, super accurate. At 10 yards, ragged hole. 15 yards, ragged hole. You get up to 20, and they actually start grouping. And how it works is it has this flight control wad, which is kind of like a big parachute. I like that graphic. That's a really good graphic. It kind of shows how it works. Now this stays in, when you shoot this, it's going to go down your barrel with the wad, and the wad's got binder inside. And the idea is to take all that pellet, keep it together, keep it from hitting the sides of the barrel, keep it from getting deformed and jostling all over and spreading all out. So it goes down the barrel very much like a slug. One piece, this nice little wad protecting it, and then as it gets out and hits the air, the wad has these little air flaps on them that open up, and it acts like a parachute. The wad slows down, the buckshot keeps going. It keeps it in a nice orderly pile of buckshot, which gives it very, very good accuracy. And watch the videos, guys. There's tons of them. I wish I had targets, but you know what? Who cares? Just Google it. There's literally hundreds of pictures of people patterning this stuff compared to other ammo, and there's really no other buckshot in its price range that can even compete. This stuff is like $5 for the 2 3/4 or $6 and change for the 3-inch. You buy this military grade, you're almost paying the same price. You buy the Remington, almost the same price. A lot of these are very similar or more expensive, and you do not get the quality. And then some of the other brands that have similar, fancy wads like that charge in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 per box. So this stuff, not only is it a very budget friendly round. You're only talking a buck, maybe a buck and a quarter per shell, but the quality on it's just astounding. And it really has changed my whole philosophy from, like I said, I'm that guy who kind of thought, okay, whatever, spread the buckshot all over, you're bound to hit something, to a guy who, now I've trained with this federal flight control, and at 20 yards, I can put a really good shot, and I can make a headshot on a person at 20 yards. Not, would I ever make a headshot on a guy at 20 yards? No. That's not, realistic home defense. But at home defense ranges, I can put this on target every time. When I'm rushed, when I'm out of breath, when I'm fumbling to load it, I can put it on target every single time at that 5 to 10 yards. And at 3 yards, this stuff just devastating. It very much operates like a slug. You have one big solid wad filled with pellets, and the wad and the pellets really don't even separate until you get out to be about like 10 yards, past 10 yards. When you look at your targets, it's just one big hole. That's all it is. So I think it's a really cool ammo. The price is right, and performance-wise, you're getting a lot more. Now, if you're of the but if you're of that frame of mind that I used to be in, where you want a huge pattern, yeah, stick with your military, stick with your number 4 bucks, stick with those. But if you want something that's going to give you that very nice tight pattern, but you don't have to worry about over penetration like you do with a slug, this flight control really is fantastic for the money. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. Just a quick little kind of PSA. I always like to do these when I find something that might help you guys out. And I know I've walked by this stuff a million times and never bought it. Why? Because I thought buckshot was just buckshot. So if you got a chance, give it a try. You won't be disappointed.